It was a time of hope, of promise, and great sacrifices. America's greatest generation was embroiled in a long, bitter war. Farmers around the country were working the fields from dawn to dusk, many of them still planting and harvesting with horse-drawn implements and a drastically reduced pool of farm labor. In the middle of America's heartland, a young Iowa farmer stared at a grain wagon, knowing there had to be a better way to move all that grain. He knew he had wasted too much time shoveling corn from the back of his wagon, after spending an entire day, every day, harvesting his crop. Coming up with a good practical solution for this tedious, back-breaking job was not a major feat for someone who designed and built his first tractor cab when he was just 21. This young man, Gary Vermeer, was a thinker, a builder. When he thought he had a good idea, he acted on it. So, that's what he did back in 1943, when he designed and built a mechanical wagon hoist on his farm just east of Pella, Iowa. At that time, starting a manufacturing business was probably the furthest thing from Gary Vermeer's mind. But as word spread about his new wagon hoist, people started asking him if he'd build one for them. So, Gary, along with his cousin Ralph Vermeer, started Vermeer Manufacturing Company in a cinder block building on the western edge of Pella. They opened the doors on November 22, 1948. And whether he realized it or not, Gary was in the early stages of creating what would become one of the largest and most respected family-owned corporations in the Midwest. Vermeer was now more than Gary's name. It was a product. The 1950s, a time of great optimism. America was the world leader in innovation, successful products, and ventures. A lot of Gary's early ideas and innovations came to him as he was working on his farm. Usually, it was the result of looking for a better, faster, or more efficient way of doing a job on the farm. His first big commercial success, the PTO-powered hammer mill.
And a farmer came along there and said to me, "Boy, you got a good idea there, but you ought to put it on wheels." And so we went back, and a day or so later we had it on wheels. Just put some handle irons under it and so forth. And you know, I put a little ad in the Wallace's Farmer, and we had 1,000 inquiries in 1 week. And I had one man working for me. But that was the forerunner of the grinder mixer. That's what really put us in business. And then,
before long, his little company had 24 employees, and the Vermeer Industrial Division started to form as the original tiling trencher evolved into self-propelled track-mounted power ditchers for underground utility distribution. As early as 1951, Vermeer had an agreement to export some of these new trenching machines overseas. Then, in 1957, an operator hit the wrong hydraulic control during a product testing session, and the Vermeer stump cutter was born.
about the next thing that happened, there was a couple of farmers out here by the name of Lonnie and Harry Verplueg, and they took an old thrashing machine cylinder, 24-inch thrashing machine cylinder, and then they hooked that on the back of a case tractor, and then they dropped that on top of the stump and they drive ahead. And boy, would that thing bounce and make a lot of noise. But I saw that work, and you know, they did get a stump out with it. We thought if we took that idea that they had and make a 3-inch wheel, that you could just pull that across the stump this way, that then that wouldn't bounce as bad and it might work. But the fellow that was running that thing made a mistake and hit the wrong lever and it went crossways. And we found out it cut about 5 times faster that way. And now that's where we cut stumps.
Then came the 60s. Change was the theme throughout the entire country, and so it was for Vermeer. It began with the explosive growth of new home construction, particularly in America's suburbs. Environmentally conscious consumers demanded cleaner and less invasive ways of stringing utility service across America's landscape. And Vermeer was ready, with a complete line of rubber tire and track trenchers, sporting a new, fresh design. and a reputation for outstanding reliability, durability, and performance in the field. At the same time, an entire fleet of new Vermeer tree spades launched a brand new concept called instant shade. This reduced the drudgery of digging, moving, balling, and planting small trees and shrubs for nurseries. In the meantime, the Vermeer Industrial Dealer Network continued to expand as several enterprising employees changed hats, left Pella, and established Vermeer dealerships throughout the country. By the time the decade had ended, Vermeer had quadrupled in size. In the 70s, baby boomers were getting down to business. And about that time, Gary Vermeer took a giant step himself, following an early morning walk with a friend.
He said, "I'm tired of putting up hay." And I thought, if this fellow who ought to be in the cattle business is tired of putting up hay, there ought to be a better way to do it. So the next morning, I went to experimental department, and there was a fellow there by the name of Arnold Matheson. He and I did a lot of things together, and we started figuring out how it would be to make a bale that would weigh a ton. We had no idea how big it ought to be or anything. We went and built that thing, and then I went to 10 county seat towns in southern Iowa, because southern Iowa, you know, has got all cow-calf operation. Anyhow, we start with that baler demonstration, and you know, I'd made a lot of demonstrations with ditchers and all stump cutters and all that kind of stuff. You get 10, 15 people, and you think you do pretty good. They came out by the hundreds. Those cars would back up a mile on the road, and people would come in there, and because, boy, they were ready for something better as far as haying was concerned. And so we made those demonstrations, and the next day, you know, you'd see a lot of them same people there again, and then you'd say, "Well, how come you came again?" "We want to see if we work 2 days in a row," they said.
Almost overnight, Vermeer revolutionized the hay industry, and the company doubled in size. Orders for big round balers stretched manufacturing production and capacity to the limits. More than 6,000 balers were sold in 1974 to 1975 alone. New product extensions included rakes and mowers. In just 9 years, 3 new plants were constructed, and by the end of the decade, there were more than 900 employees on board. The 80s began a technical revolution. By 1983, Vermeer International, located in the Netherlands, had become a wholly owned subsidiary of Vermeer, and by the end of the century would expand from its Spartan 2-story offices into a major marketing, manufacturing, and distribution center to support a rapidly growing international sales organization. During that same time, Vermeer developed and refined new underground equipment and methods. In concert with improvements in fluid power transmission, a new line of hydrostatic trenchers was introduced. As jobs got tougher, trenchers got bigger. Trenching the untrenchable was not just a goal, but a necessity in tunnels, along mountain passes, even in conditions that no one would have ever considered or imagined. Vermeer also discovered another huge niche for the environmental product line. Chipper sales exploded, particularly with the introduction of the company's popular hydraulic feed system. Then, in 1989, a new Vermeer management team took over. Gary had built Vermeer with new innovative niche products. The next generation, Gary's son, Bob Vermeer, and daughter Mary Andringa, were also in search of better ways to accelerate product development, streamline the manufacturing process, expand Vermeer's global presence, and recruit, train, and engage a rapidly growing workforce. Because in just a few short years, this new Vermeer team would soon be managing one of the most dynamic and challenging periods in the history of the company. It was a time of empowerment and caring.
Some of the philosophies of working on new product all the time, of being financially stable, of taking good care of our people are certainly philosophies my dad had when he started the company in 1948, and that really continues through today. We had to find ways to be more efficient and more cost effective, If you look at Vermeer today, you would see, for example, that technology-wise and equipment in our plants certainly would be much different and much improved from what it was several years ago. I think another thing, as we have become much larger, we've empowered many more people with a lot of responsibility to develop product, to develop solutions, to get manufacturing done, to all those areas. So I think we have given the responsibility to many more people. I think the whole lean philosophy, which started in the 90s, it has changed Vermeer in many ways, and we haven't had that throughout our history. However, I think we were always very interested in looking for a better way of doing something.
And really, very, very simply, lean is just the relentless pursuit of waste. Looking for how you can take steps out and time and waiting out of any process. And obviously we started in the manufacturing process, but it applies to any process in any kind of business. The culture here at Vermeer is one of just make it happen, going after the things that need to happen and making it happen. But I also believe we really have a caring culture. We have great people. People are the key. They are our most important asset. So it's a culture of improvement, it's a culture of caring, and I think it's a culture of just getting your hands dirty and making it happen.
In the 90s, computers and the internet changed everything, and the world became flat. As the dot-com era took off, Bob and Mary had Vermeer poised for growth and geared up to support what seemed to be an insatiable hunger for fiber optic installations worldwide. This launched another decade of skyrocketing sales and explosive growth. Navigator horizontal directional drills and hammerhead mold piercing tools created whole new product lines, a wide range of accessories, and another huge division and profit center that didn't even exist at the start of the decade. It also stimulated new growth and expansion for a dedicated group of entrepreneurs in the international theater. Employment skyrocketed. In less than 10 years, Vermeer nearly tripled in size. And during that same period, Vermeer unveiled a wide range of new products. Environmental machines to help aid the recycling reclamation industry. Bigger, wider, deeper trenching and rock-cutting machines to meet the challenging conditions of contractors working on new infrastructures in remote areas of the world. Rebel balers arrived to serve the needs of a totally new group of rural lifestyle customers. Today, as the world gets smaller, opportunities keep expanding. As challenges get bigger, Vermeer machines keep evolving, and the innovations never end. We have the resources and competitive tools to ensure our success in the future, starting with a relentless lean initiative and mandate to eliminate waste and find greater efficiencies. In product design, in the manufacturing process, in distribution and supply management, parts and customer service, here and here and here, and on the job sites of customers worldwide. We're expanding our global footprint in China, in Singapore, with dealerships and trained Vermeer experts around the world. We're broadening product lines, acquiring new technologies, and building alliances that strengthen our presence, increase our support, and advance new technologies and product solutions in existing markets. And we continue to explore new answers for tomorrow's challenges. Our goal is to understand, to focus, and to anticipate customer needs, to find better ways, and work together to collectively design and build better equipment, and back it up with the training and support customers need in order to enhance job performance and ultimately improve their way of life. As Gary Vermeer said so many times before, find a need, fill that need with a product built to last, and simply build the best.
If Vermeer is going to be successful in the future, we need to be a global company.
Seeing employees really reach their potential. I love that.
I think we were always very interested in looking for a better way of doing something.
People are the key. They are our most important asset.
I really believe that we have some great opportunities in the future.
This is what we do at Vermeer. And this is where it happens. On the drawing board, on the floor, in the field, on the job sites. Every day across the country, around the world. Vermeer is there. A family of dedicated workers, dealers, and customers. Designing, building, supporting, and using some of the most innovative equipment in the world to do a better job. To build a better life and a better future together with this family we call Vermeer.
Thank you.